Mike, the coincidence of going back to Madison Square Garden, and coaches often talk about, what you learned from losses. What do you think you learned from that Duke game that kind of carried over into the season?
First off, the Duke's really good. They're really difficult to defend. I figured I'd get asked the question about Madison Square Garden. It's really neat to have another opportunity to play up there. I've been a part of, I guess, 2 or 3 different opportunities, 4 or 5 different opportunities, I guess, with the NIT Final Fours. And it's always neat to play up there, to play in that city, and to play in that world's most famous arena, of course. If we had won up there and played really well against Duke and hit a bunch of shots, it might be an advantage for us. But the fact that we came out on the short end, I don't think gives us any advantage, having played up there a few months ago at all.
And Devin Robinson, you've probably worked the last 2 years to kind of bring this out of him. Crashing the boards, playing defense, doing the little things. Just what was that process like for you and the coaching staff for the last 2 years, and how satisfying is it to see him, flourishing now and doing those things?
It's really satisfying. It's been fun to watch him grow right before our eyes. I said this the other day after the game. He's getting better every day. He's in a great rhythm right now of growth. He continues to take steps in the right direction. It's 99% Devin. He's bought into what we've asked him to do. My staff's done a great job with him. They've got strong relationships with him. He has, as I'm sure is the case with a lot of these, where guys make big jumps, whether it be their freshman year, sophomore year, junior, what have you. He's just made some changes. He's looked himself in the mirror and made some decisions that he's going to try to defend and rebound at the highest possible level, play with a tremendous motor, and now we're seeing, of course, more and more what he's capable of on the offensive end. But he's out on the court. He's earning 40 minutes. He's earning 36 minutes because he's turning into a really good defender and rebounder.
Mike, your guards haven't contributed very much offensively, the guys in a rotation. However, it's documented what Casey and Chris are doing defensively, and I would imagine Kevon's still defending at a pretty high level. I know you want him to score more,
right,
but you got to this point without a whole lot of offensive production.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the other things that those 3 guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. I think that their ball security lately, the decisions that they're making are another positive. All 3 are defending at a high level. All 3 are rebounding the ball better than they were earlier in the year. And what I like that Kayvon's been aggressive. He's taken good ones, and I know he's going to make shots. He's going to make shots. He knows that. He's a confident kid. And the other 2 guys are taking good shots. They're taking really good ones. I thought Casey passed up a few in these past couple games. That led to better looks. We've got other wings that can score it, and Devin, and part of the reason that Devin and Justin Leon have fallen into some open looks is the fact that some of these other guys are passing up maybe tougher ones earlier in the clock. So they've been both the point guards have been really good facilitators for us. I want Kayvon to keep doing the same exact thing, and they're going to go in.
Mike, from the very get-go, you embraced the idea of following Billy Donovan. You didn't shy away from it. I was wondering if you talked to anybody after you got this job about, the difficulty, the challenge of following a legendary coach, and as a follow-up to that, any sense of relief that you're in the Sweet 16 in your second year, like almost like you got your first notch on a belt of sorts?
I guess it's just so early, and I'd like to think we got more basketball ahead of us. Answering your second part first, Gene, a month from now, when you have time to take a deep breath after recruiting, of course, because we'll go right from this to recruiting, you might start considering some of the big picture stuff a little bit more. Right now, I'm focused on Wisconsin and being as competitive as we can be against a really good team. I'm really happy for our guys. I'm really happy for our seniors. I'm really happy for Devin, the progress he's made. I don't, in terms of proving myself and our staff proving ourselves, we don't even get into that. I mean, we're fine. We're happy to be here. Your first question? I'm sorry. Oh, did I talk to anybody? I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't want to lie to you. I just can't think of a particular conversation. And if I've told you in the past, please remind me, anyone in here. But I don't think one really stood out. That was. Yeah, I talked to Coach Evans. I talked to my dad a bunch. Heck, conversations with Jeremy Foley during the interview process were about as much as I talked about following Coach Donovan, and it was really. I mean, someone had to follow him, and again, he made it a better job. It's University of Florida. I mean, I'm not competing with Coach Donovan. I'm just trying to do the best job I can do, and my staff's doing the same, and we try to keep it that simple.
Like, was there a point or was it maybe easier to get these guys to buy into the unselfish defense first philosophy, or did that help because it was kind of the philosophy here before?
I think that's a great point, and it probably is underappreciated, the fact that or at least we're trying to emulate a lot of the stuff that Coach did. And Coach's teams, Coach Donovan's teams were always really efficient, of course, defensively. And then, of course, during the national championship runs, they were efficient on both ends equally as much. But I'm sure that helped, that we didn't come in here and just say, we're going to do everything completely different. And in fact, we tried to learn as much about the way he was doing things as possible. I remember 2 summers ago, it was just, it was like 12-hour-a-day Florida basketball film sessions, just studying practices and games, of course. And even games in the past, from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what have you. So some of the veterans, of course, were a little bit more familiar with some of the expectations, again, on the glass and the way that we've defended. And we don't always do it to our capabilities. We have ebbs and flows, of course, but that's what we're going to try to stand for as much as possible. And we're improved offensively, but we can't, at least this particular group, we can't hang our hat on it. It's just not who we are.
And then secondly, it was just a couple months ago, 3 months ago, maybe, that the SEC looked like it would maybe get 3 teams in the tournament. Now it's got 3 in the Sweet 16, 3 of the 5. Does that do anything for you guys collectively as a league, you think, raising the?
Yeah, I think so. I think the SEC's in a good spot. Greg's been terrific, of course, and Dan's been terrific, and the hiring of Mark Whitehead was a huge positive, and Mike Tranghisi's been a big help, of course. We have 3 in the Sweet 16. Just walking down here, just thinking, I believe it's 4 different teams in 2 years. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Did A&M make the Sweet 16 last year? I believe they did. Yeah, so 4 different teams in 2 years out of our league. Robert Williams says he's coming back today. I mean, I just think the SEC's got a bunch of momentum. We're 99.5% on Wisconsin, but when you're staring at the computer screen for a couple straight hours, sometimes I'll jump up and I got to get an ADD break and go grab my tea. And you have those little 20-second impromptu hallway staff meetings, and we talked about, wow, how good would the SEC be next year? It's incredible. All these teams, there might be 3 or 4 teams that plateau, that are similar this year, maybe even take a slight step backward. There's going to be a handful that take a big step forward. So SEC's got a lot of momentum, in my opinion.
Does that give you guys any confidence that you've been going against that league? Your players, you can take anything from that?
I think in the future it will. I think coming out of our league in the future, when we're even more talented and deeper and more successful, we could gain confidence. But right now, I think, right now, again, it's Wisconsin. And you talk about success and momentum and consistency. I got in there their wiki page and just looked at some of the recent history. And I may have read it wrong, but it was like 16 straight years they finished in the top 4 in the Big Ten. That is unbelievable. It's just crazy. 16 straight years in that league to finish in the top 4. This is their 4th straight Sweet 16. What a senior class they have. Just incredible consistency. Their skill level's off the charts. Best front court we've played all year. Koenig's one of the best guards we've played all year. And they're 8th in the country, by the way, in defensive efficiency. So they're just really, really good.
Dealing with Happen Hayes for Wisconsin is going to be a daunting task on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys plan to go at them, whether it's with Kavarius, whether it's with switching? What's your defensive attack for their offense?
We don't have it figured out yet. There's not going to be one answer I can give you. I think we might have to try different things. Going into the game, our biggest issue is going to be how we defend on the interior. I think Wisconsin knows that. We know that. Of course, it's going to be a difficulty scoring against them as well. We're going to have difficulties defending Koenig and Showalter and these other guys as well. But their front court, both of those guys can pass, dribble, shoot, drive it, draw fouls. They just present so many issues for us, and we've struggled with that here a little bit. As we all know, in the past 6-8 weeks.
What are your thoughts on you've looked at the bracket? You've looked at the bracket you guys are in. I mean, it's an unsettled bracket, I guess I would say at this point. I mean, what are your thoughts just
Wisconsin.
on everything that's happened? South Carolina.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's a huge win for South Carolina. Happy for Frank. Obviously very disappointed for the Dukies. Watched it with my mom the other night. She was screaming at the television. And again, great for the league. But as far as the rest of the bracket, we're happy to be in the Sweet 16, and we know we need to play really, really well against Wisconsin to have a chance.
Circling back to the Duke question from December, did you maybe kind of learn from that game that you can't outscore people because you look at the score as 84-74, that your defensive focus had to be that much stronger? How do you?
Yeah, and we had some live ball turnovers, and our press exposed us a little bit in that game. I'm not sure we emphasized defense any less than, and I don't think we've held our guys any more accountable. The buy-in has probably, though, continued to gradually increase throughout the year. And probably looking back at that meeting that we've all referenced so many times now, just the recommitment from our guys, the commitment to each other to not go into games and have the mentality, I wonder how many I can score in front of my girlfriend today, or hey, my mom's coming into town, I wonder how many threes I can get up. This has been a group that's really, since that point, played for each other defensively and on the glass, and been more bought into being held accountable too. We've handled that with a lot more maturity. In the last 3 months, it's been more, I got you, coach, you're right, I didn't do that right. I know I know that's my job. It's been a really mature group to work with in that regard. It's been a fun group to work with. It's why we continue to improve, even this late in the year on the defensive end. And,
Mike, we've discussed this before. I think you've always felt that the Florida brand was strong, but as you get your name more out there in this process, how do you think it's going to help recruiting down the road in 2018 and 2019 and beyond with the success that you've had and the national exposure you've had from winning these games?
Yeah, great question. I think, Kevin, anytime you have success, it's going to continue to help you in recruiting. We've been well received since we've gotten here, just because we are Florida. But the reception has been a little bit warmer. The way we finished last year, the way that we've played this year, our guys have put us in the top 25 all year, and certainly recruits don't mind seeing that. I think that for the most part, the reception continues to get warmer and warmer. Phone calls are returned a little bit quicker, as well as texts. I think our recruiting base knows that Florida is very healthy. We have a lot to sell here. I've got a great staff of great people. Our support staff's through the roof. all the resources and facilities necessary here to continue building this program and rebuilding it, if you will. So we'll see where it leads.
What did Gak show you last weekend? And given the tough matchup inside, do you see him involved in being a factor against Wisconsin?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Gorjak. He's come a long way. He's a guy. Talk about some maturity for a freshman. He's a guy that just he's pulled a bunch of DNPs, and he's had several reasons to pout or to not be ready when his number's called. And he's given us some productive minutes, and he's hit a couple of highlights we showed the team yesterday where drew some applause and some hoorahs from the guys. They're proud for him too. He made some hustle plays, some motor plays, active on the offensive glass, running the floor. And then when you complement that with his hands and his length, he's gonna be a good player. He works at it. He's got a ways to go, but he's got a high ceiling.
And then going to Wikipedia to look up Wisconsin, is that standard protocol for you?
No, this one was a little bit different. I think that's the first time I've done that, Ryan. Good question. I wanted to become more familiar with their history. I know it seems like they're way up there, and we've been in Ruston, and now we're way down here in Gainesville, and just not quite as familiar. We've been playing in the NIT when Wisconsin's whipping up on people, and I knew they had a great run. When I think of Wisconsin over the past couple of years, I think toughness, skill level, high-level defensive team, really consistent. I didn't know it was quite to that extent. 16 years, my goodness. That's a heck of a run.
Mike, could you talk a little bit about how much concern you have with Wisconsin starting lineup 57 combined NCAA tournament games?
Yeah.
Do you feel like is that overstating it? Because now that you're deep into the tournament, do you feel like that experience matters?
No, absolutely. I really do. I think that it's a big factor. They know exactly what to expect. They've been there. They've not only been there, but they've been there and had success there. They've got to be extremely confident. And then again, the matchup on the interior is going to be a challenge for us. So we've got a work cut out for us.
As a follow-up,
Mhm.
obviously you were picked early on as a sort of a target to be an upset victim early.
Yep.
Now there seems to be a lot of mojo amongst the national pundits for Wisconsin. As a coach, do you like seeing that, whether you call it disrespect or underselling or whatever?
I'd rather that than the alternative. I don't want to lie to you. Yeah. I don't know how much of a factor it plays, but I said it the other day. If you have it, if you have a bullet in your chamber, you might as well use it. And I understand why a lot of people will pick Wisconsin in this one. I totally understand that, and I think our guys will understand that too. Maybe it's added motivation, maybe it's not. Does it have anything to do with the outcome of the game? Heck, I don't know. Probably very little. It's more about the scouting report and execution. Thanks, guys.